I'm back from vacation, the amazing resort region of Iowa. Basically, we go up there to visit my wife's parents. It's good. It's a nice leisure time. I did a little bit of plein air, which I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, so vacations are great, you know. And I had all kinds of great plans to get footage of where I was and kind of make a more detailed vlog of that. And I did do some plein air, and I was going to get more detailed footage of that. But you know, sometimes when you go on vacation, you just want to shut those cameras off, and that's kind of what I did. Did get a little video though, and I'll show you what I did. Well, so as you can see, I'm hitting you with another vlog. Give me a V, give me an L, because I was on vacation and there was some planning that went into that. So I haven't had time to plan a more instructive video. So I'm hitting you with another vlog. But I've got some things to share with you. When I came back, I was greeted with a package. I got the new Splash 18, really cool. We're gonna take a look and review at that. I'm going to show you the 2 plein air studies I did do. There'll be some video clips on that. And I'm going to talk about something that I learned about plein air. So first, let's take a look. And you can see by the video clips where I am and what I was doing. It was a pretty pleasant day. It was pretty warm, actually. Iowa in the middle of the summer has nothing on the southeast. The humidity was horrible. There was a good breeze on this day, so I didn't have a lot of trouble staying fairly cool. I just wanted to get a basic study down, and I'm using my Schmincke more to learn a little more about it. My main goal was these nice little vistas. It was just cool riding in the car on the way up there, just seeing. You can see a lot further than you can down in the south or in wooded areas. I mean, you can see literally for miles and miles. And I looked for places where I could duplicate that in the painting experience. It was kind of hard. This was a park near my wife's hometown, but cornfields everywhere. Actually, I was beside a soybean field, so there was corn back here, but this is like turning 45 degrees to my left. There was a soybean field here. And I just wanted to play with values and get the feel of the expansiveness. And just generally wanted to enjoy myself, which is what I did. You know, and really, that's all you need to do in a sketchbook on plein air. You don't ever have to if you don't want to. I know some do, but you don't ever have to go out there and try to do big finished paintings. I am finding myself more comfortable doing this kind of a thing, and this really has benefits and value back in the studio. I mean, you just remember the things that you did when you were there. You tend to remember how it felt, what the colors were like, what the feeling of the day was like, you know, and it's very valuable. And then you come back with these studies if you want to, you know, and I did take some pictures. If you want to, you can do more detailed or larger paintings. The thing about plein air is that the human eye picks up millions more colors and discerns millions of more colors and values than a camera. That's the value of doing plein air, is letting your eye see those subtleties. I only started doing plein air when I started this channel, so that's 3 years. And I really started getting into it. Before that, I had done a little bit in college, and we're talking the dark ages. So a long time ago. So I'm learning about what supplies I need. I tweak my setup almost every time I go out. And I learned that I usually take too much, but right now I don't know what to leave behind. I'm still learning about that. Here's one of the things I learned on this vacation, and that's scouting. You really have to take time to scout. I can't tell you how many times now I've been disappointed by going out planning to paint plein air, and I was disappointed by the location I ended up in. You may have ideas of places around you that would make great location painting spots, but you really can't find a place to set up. So, and that was the case here. I drove around, and some of these great vistas I saw in the car on the way up, I mean, there's just literally no place to go. Pull off to the side of the road, and there's almost no place to pull off to the side of the road, and all of a sudden you're greeted by a ditch and a cornfield. If I lived in the area, I could ask permission to go on some of these people's property and paint and stuff like that. But when you're visiting, you have to look for things like parks and what you can see from there. What I really liked were the really broad vistas with little kind of overlapping rolling fields, and a little tree line here, a little tree line here, and it just seemed to go on forever. And one of the things I want to do is some thumbnails while it's all fresh in my mind, because I didn't take a lot of pictures. I just kind of kept the camera in the bag and relaxed and enjoyed myself. So before those images are gone from my brain, I'm going to do some thumbnails. You know, back to what I learned, give yourself some time. I ended up spending an entire afternoon when I had planned to go out and plein air paint. I had spent the entire afternoon scouting and coming up with almost nothing. Came up with one basic location, and I thought, you know, if I find nothing else, this is where I'm going to come back to. And time went by, and getting close to supper, and my wife and daughter were wanting to go and do some other stuff, so I couldn't just, you know, spend all into the evening painting. At one point I just said, no, this afternoon I'm just going to spend scouting, and when I get out the next day, I'm just going to go to the best spot that I have found. Spit spot right there, not going to waste any time. That's valuable. I have heard other plein air painters talk about that, and I didn't really take it to heart, but man, I really found it true. I found it true just in my own area. So I think it's valuable just to set aside some time. If you're interested in plein air, just go out and scout, and just go say, here's a great spot. No one will bother me here. There is a great scene. There's a great element. I'm going to go paint that. You know, the other thing I learned is not to be too picky, because sometimes you can get caught up looking for that perfect, beautiful scene. Just paint a simple composition, just for practice. Sometimes you just need to warm up even. So those are my tips. Don't be too picky, but scout. Scout, go out, look around. In fact, if you can spend an afternoon scouting and maybe log 3 or 4 places, then it's so much pressure off the next time when you're ready to go out. You just head straight there. All right, so let's take a look at Splash 18, shall we? Now, Splash, if you're not familiar, it's an annual of the best watercolor. They put it out every year. This was last year's, and every year they include a theme. Inspiring subjects was last year's theme. This year was value, celebrating light and dark. And there's something in here for everybody, whether you're a tight painter or a loose painter. You have a lot of representational realists, so there's not a lot of abstract, but you get a few. I like to go through these, look at the names, see who's painting, who I recognize from before, who I've never heard of before. Move that over. It's just, look at the granulation in that. That's amazing. And I'll go through this fairly quickly, otherwise we'll be here all day. I normally will take time to read these, what they do, and this is valuable if you get one of these books. They'll tell you what it was done on. In this case it was rice paper, and that's fairly unusual. They'll tell you the size, and then they'll do a little write-up about their process. It's interesting to see what papers people use. Fabriano Artistico, Arches, Strathmore. I don't know about this one, but in the past, Arches usually is the overwhelming favorite. They will categorize them, like this is portrait, or portraits are people. Some very realistic, almost photorealistic. Get some advanced painters in here, but you get some next level stuff in terms of what they did it and how they did it. Very loose, fresh colors. Wow, but look at that, extremely tight. Now this is the kind of thing that really appeals to me. Very tight passages mixed with extremely loose passages. Again, I'm going to go through this quickly, and you can see how they will categorize the chapters. Once again, I'm seeing Arches as the paper on almost every page. Kilimanjaro, that's interesting. That's Cheap Joe's brand. Still not been able to figure out who makes Kilimanjaro. Some people think it's Fabriano. Interesting angle. Pets. I'm not a pet painter. Not at all. I don't have any pets. We used to, but it doesn't interest me as a painting subject, but I know there are some out there that do really great work. That's cool. This should be entitled Animals. I don't think these are all pets. Cities. Are you urban sketchers? That's pretty amazing to get that tight. It's so complex. This is the cover painting, and it's amazing. Thomas Schaller, I'm familiar with his work. He's usually in that same color palette, very specific color palette. Wow, look at the complicated detail on that. But see, it's not detail for detail's sake. It serves a purpose. The way they've melded the reflection with the pastry items in the window, that's pretty next level stuff there. That is pretty neat. More people, this is more focused on faces. Pretty famous names in here. Feeling Lynn, very famous international painter. Just look at all the different looks you can get with watercolor. It's just amazing how people will put watercolor into a box and say it only looks one way. I mean, it is relatively easy to identify a watercolor. It has a certain look in some respects, but the difference in the ways you can paint with it is just astounding, and you can't get that much variety, I don't think, anyway, with oils. Look at that. That looks like an oil painting, speaking of oils. Look how soft and modeled and blended that is. Who painted that? Marnie Rose Edge. That's amazing. Japanese painter, or at least Japanese name. That looks like an oil painting. It's not, but it looks like it. And floral painters, incredible inspiration in these annuals. And that's it. So Splash 18, I'll put a link to it down below if you want to grab one. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully we'll get back to doing some more instructive videos soon. But until then, we'll see you in the next video.